jean skirt. Gotta know that girl's a flirt. Wouldn't mind if she walked over here. All I want is another beer. It turns out she knows the bartender. Gonna be a night she won't remember. She turns around, winks at me, strutting her stuff for all to see. Yeah, she's walking over here. All I want is another beer. Yeah, girl, you look pretty good. And if I wasn't taken, I probably would. But girl, you gotta know there's just one reason I'm here. All I want is another beer. 1, 2, 3 shots in. Ain't gonna let this night in till she grooves to the noise, twerking it for all them country boys. You can shake that thing over here. All I want is another beer. Yeah, girl, you look pretty good. And if I wasn't taken, I probably would. But girl, you gotta know there's just one reason I'm here. All I want is another beer. Twirling and spinning and shaking that thing, driving all them country boys insane. Dropping down low, coming up fast. Look at that girl shaking that. Oh man, it's getting hot in here. All I want is another beer. Yeah, girl, you look pretty good. And if I wasn't taken, I probably would. Girl, you gotta know there's just one reason I'm here. All I want is another beer. All I want is another beer.
Hi, and welcome to Two Local Radio. This is Ray Ray,
And this is Chrissy D.
and today we have East Tennessee's most sought-after country star. He's performed with various national artists all across the country. It was a part of Capital EMI. Everybody welcome Jeff Jopling.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome. How are you tonight? I know you're doing well, but how's your night going anyways?
Oh, so far so good.
Well, that's good to hear. We always like to hear that.
So what we heard is you're actually a local. You were a graduate of Maryville College. Is that correct?
That's right. Graduated in 2003.
That's awesome.
What exactly did you graduate in?
My actual degree was in classical piano and vocal opera performance.
Oh, nice. So did it help you out as far as singing and as far as music is concerned?
Yes and no. Singing, classical training will help you sing, and teaches you the right way to sing and all that kind of stuff, but it's so far removed from that of singing, pop music and especially pop country that it really took me several years to kind of unlearn a lot of things that I'd learned in college.
Well, that's awesome, though. I mean, that you're local and you graduated out here and everything. So what was life like? Being on the road and like meeting all kinds of country stars.
It was really great. Just at the same time, kind of lonely because you're out there with your same group of buddies and on the road for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time, away from your family, loved ones, and stuff like that, and kind of you're meeting new people all the time, but you only see those people for, one afternoon and one evening, and then you're on to the next town. So, you're really just with about 8 to 10 people that you're traveling with, and that's about it.
Wow, that's
got to be hard. How old
Yeah,
were you actually? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's hard, but it's it's the life. It's you get used to it, and you make great friends with those people that you're touring with. So
That's good though. How old were you when you actually started performing, or got into music?
when I started performing when I was just a kid in church.
That's a wonderful way to start.
Yeah.
so. If I'm not mistaken, you have like this different type of tone as far as like your voice. Can you explain where that came from? What kind of musical background that came from?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. Nowadays I've noticed as country music has turned towards more pop kind of music, the record labels have gone to singers that have really, really strong Southern accents. But back in the day, the country artists, Marty Robbins and Johnny Cash even, they didn't really have that strong of accents like they do today. And I feel like what I do, I don't have that strong of a country accent, but the sound that I have, especially the songs that I sing, because the songs that I sing are all originals that I wrote that are, really heartfelt and have a lot to do with me and my upbringing and things that I've done in life, kind of adds to its own sort of throwback sound, but yet we're definitely a new contemporary country rock band.
So, what would you say is your favorite song out of all your albums?
Goodness, I don't know. My favorite song probably at this point is our newest one, "All I Want's Another Beer."
I absolutely love that song.
Yep. It does.
What inspired you to make that song?
Well, I actually co-wrote that one with my fiance, Sandra Teaster, and the whole. I heard your show the other night when you first played it, and you got it spot on. The whole idea in the song was that, at my age, I go in to a bar, to a venue, to a club that I'm playing or something like that. And, there's always girls, and they're always trying to flirt and do stuff. And it's like, hey, all I want's another beer. And, and especially because my fiance and I both wrote it together, it's, she kind of pointed out the fact that, hey, that girl was just flirting with you, right? And I'll say, oh, no, I didn't really notice. I was just asking for a beer.
You know what's funny? When we heard that song, the first thing I looked at Ray and I said to Ray, I said, honey, I said, that sounds like you. I said, he could be sitting in the bar, girl could be flirting right at him. He wouldn't even be paying attention. Exactly what he'd be saying too. I want another beer with his buddies.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm quite oblivious to that kind of stuff.
Nothing wrong with that. What about the other songs? Any of your other songs? What made you write them?
All completely personal stories, personal things that happened to me. You played the other night, I heard on your show, you played "Here's to You," which was a very true story about a pretty ugly breakup that I went through. And there's also a song that I have on this current EP that was actually one of the first songs that I wrote, called "Storm," and it's a song that was about another breakup, but very much a true story. And they're all just about things that I've been through, things that have happened to me, or that experienced one way or the other.
Oh, okay.
So, are you still a part of Capitol Records, or did y'all have a
No,
fallout?
no. When I was touring with a guy named Troy Olson, who back in 2010 had a song that went into the top 20 on Billboard called "Summer Thing," and I toured with him for about 8 months, and we toured all over the continental U.S. And that song, you know, as it climbed the charts, we were playing all over the place, and then as it started coming down off the charts, you know, they kind of gave the band the option on what to do. And my dad had just passed away here in East Tennessee and left my mom with a big farm out in Townsend. And
Our
so as the song was
condolences.
coming off the charts, I said, well, you know what, I think I'm just gonna move back and kind of help out on the family farm and do that sort of thing. And then came back here and started the Jeff Jopling Band.
So, do you miss being out on the road and touring, or you just not? It's just not your thing anymore because our condolences. As you said, your dad passed away, and that had to be hard on you and everything, and just to get back in the groove.
Well, well, thank you. Yeah, first of all, I will say that touring, I love touring. It's really one of my favorite things in the entire world. However, my soul feels a lot better doing what I'm doing now. When I was touring and with Capitol and all that, I was just simply on stage playing bass and piano for, you know, somebody else. And now being back home and doing this, I get to do what I want to do. You know, it's my band, it's my music. I'm doing literally everything that I want to do. But I will say that although I do love touring, that particular time in my life was one of the hardest things because my dad passed away, and, you know, chronologically speaking, I said my dad passed away, and so I came back. But my dad actually passed away right before I left. And he passed away literally 3 days before we left on one of our big tours. And the day that we buried him, I had to get on the tour bus that evening, and I was gone for 3 months, didn't see my family or anything. And, you know, as you're driving back from Maryville towards Townsend down 321, you get to a spot just past this Exxon station where you see the mountains right in front of you, and I had to pull over, and I just bawled for about 30 minutes. Just, you know, it was the first time that I really had to myself to just kind of reminisce and mourn. So I will say that I love touring, but it can be a very hard thing, especially when you have family issues and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, that made me feel bad when you said that. I just felt so sad when you said that. You know?
I can't even imagine
Me
what
either.
that would feel like, knowing that hey, you got your big break, you get the tour, and then you have
Death in the family like that.
especially a close one. I mean, that's
especially
just
like a parent.
Yeah.
I-
Well, it wasn't that hard. I mean, you know, hey, we're all professionals. The show must go on. I know that my dad would have wanted me to do it and all of that, but I think what was really hard was coming back from that experience and getting back to East Tennessee and to everything that I'd remembered, and realizing, you know what, I can't, you know, I so badly wanted to call my dad and like tell him about everything that had happened, and I realized that I can't ever tell him. I could never tell him or share any of those experiences with him. That was probably the hardest.
Yeah, but you know what? Knowing he was up above you and he was right there watching you on stage. I bet you he was standing on stage with you. That's what I've always believed. And I guarantee
Yeah,
he's your biggest
I could
fan.
really
He's cheering
feel
you on the most.
Yeah, I could feel him there with me the whole time.
so. How has life, you know, changed you as a musician from, you know, all the touring experiences to now running your own, you know, band and everything? And do you feel you've evolved as a musician? Just you've got more creative and more diversified now that you know what it's all about.
Yeah, I do in a sense, but I think when I was touring, all I had to do was think about what I was playing, and all I had to think about was is my guitar in tune, and am I playing the right stuff, and am I making the boss, am I making the record label executive, am I making the singer, am I making everybody happy? Nowadays, there's a whole lot more to think about when it's the Jeff Jopling band, when when it's my name on the banners, but primarily my name on the check. When I have to make sure that all of my guys are happy and that they're playing enough and getting paid enough, and all that kind of stuff. It hasn't exactly made it more freeing, but I have been able to now do the music that I want to play, the music that I want to sing that are my original songs, the music that I want to sing that are cover songs, and it's allowed me to explore things musically that I had not yet been able to.
So when you're on stage, is it harder for you to sing a cover song, or is it harder to sing your own because no one knows what this is and what it's about, and am I gonna fuck up?
Well, this is probably going to sound silly, but it's a lot harder to sing my original songs, because the cover songs I've heard for weeks, months, years on the radio. I know the songs really well. My original songs, it's really hard to remember the lyrics sometimes because I've never heard them. Until we record them, I've never heard the song, so I'm just kind of making it up as we go along,
So have you ever had that time where you just like felt like an asshole, where it was like you knew what the lyrics were, but you forgot just a point, and nobody knew you forgot, but in your own mind you're like, why did I just do that?
Yeah, that happens all the time. But very rarely do I get called out on it. Most of the time people don't notice.
Well, I understand that, because that's got to be hard, doing your own songs and playing and getting everybody, in tune and everything. So, what was the best show you'd say that you played?
I don't know. They all have their ups and downs. I don't know. One of my favorite shows that we played was I guess in 2012 we played the Foothills Fall Festival here in Maryville. That was a highlight. Yeah, I'd probably go with that one.
So, have you ever had like somebody come up to you and say your music has like inspired me, or really touched my life?
Yeah, in a strange way. Remember, I was telling you about that song "Storm" that I'd written. It was actually about a breakup, where, and it was a true story. I'd broken up with this girl in Pigeon Forge, and I was driving back home to Townsend. And as I'm coming down 321 up towards the mountains, heading where I'm heading, is this huge storm, and behind me it's all sunny and clear skies. And I thought it was kind of an interesting metaphor because I just know that I have to keep going towards the storm, and hopefully on the other side of that there will be sunny skies again for me. That was kind of the metaphor for the whole song. And so I've sung that song now for years, and I was at one of our gigs, and I performed that song, and a woman comes up to me after the show, and she's telling me about this song and how much it meant to her and how much it touched her, and she was absolutely in tears, and how much it meant to her, and how much hope that it gave her, and what an inspiration it was, because her son had just passed away. And to me, when I sing that song, I'm thinking of it in terms of the breakup and of how I wrote it. But I went back and listened to it again, and I realized, wow, that could definitely be taken as inspiration for someone that's lost a family member or something like that. and it was just really striking how I had never considered that until that lady came up to me and said that, and I was just kind of blown away.
So could you say that, in a way that now after that you've done it, that it could, be in fact about your dad as well?
Yeah, certainly. Of course, I wrote that song many years before my dad passed away, but now going back and listening to it, and sometimes I have moments where I have a really hard time singing that song, as well as I don't know if you're familiar with the song "I Drive Your Truck" by Lee Brice, but I actually drive. When my dad passed away, he left me his old Dodge Ram, which is the truck that I drive to this day. And when that song came out, it's one of my favorite songs, and I have yet to actually be able to get through it at one of our concerts because I start tearing up every show.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's sometimes things like that will get me.
And you know what? I bet if somebody offered to buy you a brand new truck, you'd be like, nope, I'm just going to restore this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd never sell it.
That's what it's about sometimes, family values, rather than, just value, like, something's the hottest out there. That doesn't always mean something. It's about sentimental value to some people. Like you said, with, you drive your dad's truck, that he gave you and everything. That is really, amazing and really touching, because a lot of people would be like, all right, well, that's an old raggedy truck. And you're like, no, it's got sentimental value. I'm going to drive it to the day I die.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot more valuable sentimentally to me than a brand new truck would be, for sure.
Exactly. This is once somebody usually starts making money, the first thing, even if it's not a lot of money, just even making money in general, the first thing that's what they would say is, let me go get a brand new truck. And you hold on to your dad's near and dear.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, changing topics. So, do you like to play in front of, a few people, or are you more of, a main, festival type person, or does it not matter? And have you ever had the time where, the crowd just wasn't into it and you did something to change their minds?
I've never really had an experience where a large crowd wasn't into it. There's been plenty of times with smaller crowds, you're playing a smaller bar or a venue or something like that, and people just aren't into it, especially if you're playing a festival earlier in the day, and people aren't drunk yet, or people just aren't really, there to have a good time. They're, you're just kind of filler music. That is what it is, and you'll have that sometimes. But most of the time, I prefer playing for larger audiences, and for an interesting reason. When you're playing for a larger audience, traditionally you're on a bigger stage and a taller, higher stage, and the audience is a little further away from you. And I have pretty severe social anxiety. I don't have a problem being in front of a crowd of people. I mean, I played in front of 20,000 people before, and that's not really a problem. I don't have performance anxiety. I have social anxiety. I really have a hard time being in a crowd of people. So when we're playing at a smaller venue, and especially like if the stage is just part of the floor and people are kind of all around us, I really kind of freak out by that sort of a thing.
That's totally understandable. I mean, there's a difference between being the life of the party and just being in the party.
Yeah, there really is.
I'm like you. Yeah, I'm like you. I don't like big crowds of people. It makes me nervous. I can't be in big crowds of people, but I've never had to perform in front of them, but I'm talking about just being in the crowd myself. It's just too much.
Yeah, it really is. Playing a big venue and having 1,000 people there, performing in front of them isn't the hard part for me. It's always getting off stage and having to to mingle and socialize, and then you're in the crowd of people, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't handle this.
Yeah, go get me another beer.
Yep.
Yeah,
there you go.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Hey, grab me a 6-pack while you're at it.
Yeah.
So how about you tell us the story of how you met your fiance?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, she actually runs sound for us. She had I've known her for years and years, and she one day I lost my sound guy. He just kind of up and vanished into thin air, and she had been around and kind of knew what was going on, and it said, hey, you know, you need any help? You want me to help set up microphones or cables or anything? And you know, and that was sort of it. She started running sound for us. We were together all the time, and one day I realized, man, I just I don't like being away from her. So hey, why don't we get married?
Oh well, it's your wife. My bad.
Awesome.
Well, we're not married yet, but we're thinking perhaps this September.
Nice.
Hey, I could say if you live together or if you're around each other all the time, even without the paper, you're still married.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
That's how we
pretty much.
consider it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we've been together 5 years and we've lived together pretty much 5 years, so we consider ourselves married. And that's the way we look at everybody else that lives together or together constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell you what was really the telltale for me was, you know, I swore up and down for years and years that I would never marry someone that I worked with, that I was around constantly, because most people I don't like to be around that much. and she and I were working together, and you know, I'm performing and she's out there running sound, and then she'd come with me to go book shows, and she'd be with me to call, you know, venues and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And I realized, wow, I haven't spent 1 minute away from her in 6 months. Huh.
The light came on. Hey, this might be the one.
Yeah,
How long have you guys
this could be the one.
How long have you guys actually been together?
Probably, gosh, I'd say 2 years now. Well, at least a year and a half, 2 years, I think. We've been engaged now since the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I actually proposed. We were on our way to Gatlinburg. We were planning to show up in Gatlinburg, and I stopped at a gas station to buy some Gatorade and some energy drinks and stuff like that. And I actually put her ring. I had thought about going and doing the whole thing, you know, making a big deal of it and proposing to her maybe on stage or at a restaurant or doing something like that. But she hates to be the life of the party. She hates to be the center of attention like that. And she hates it when all eyes are on her. And so I thought, you know, that's probably not such a good idea. So I stopped at a gas station and I put her ring down inside the bag of stuff that I had gotten from the gas station. And she's in the truck on the way to the show, and she's putting on her makeup and stuff. And I said, hey, sweetheart, can you grab me a drink out of the bag there? And she reaches in there and pulls out the box and says, "What's this?" And she opens it, and and there's the ring. And she goes, "Oh, look, a ring. Where'd you get this?" And I said, "Oh yeah, will you marry me?" And she said, "Oh, okay." Just puts the ring on. That was the end of it.
Well,
That's cute, though.
it wasn't traditional, but that sounds like a kick-ass story, if any.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing traditional about us, but
Us either. Let me tell you, us either. I mean, when we have Christmas, we hide our son's Christmas presents like Easter eggs, and he loves it. When Ray proposed to me, he didn't propose to me like normal. He put on our favorite song, a song that reminded me of him, of us, our son.
I get that all the time.
Yep, and then he proposed to me with that song on.
nice.
I mean, everybody, has their own way of doing things. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. We have a wedding venue here in Townsend, and and I always watch the different couples try to create their own wedding and try to be different, and it's really neat. I enjoy that.
Well, we actually interviewed a wedding DJ. If you were looking for one,
Yep.
Who is it?
his name is Ron. He's from Smoky Mountain Sounds.
Huh.
He's
I was
very
gonna say-
genuine and very valued as far as price. He doesn't charge people an arm and a leg.
Nice. Yeah, we have a lot of DJs out here. It's interesting being on the wedding venue side of it and seeing bands versus DJs. And I'm always surprised at how much DJs charge. DJs usually get paid more than bands do. Very strange thing.
Yeah, we had one band that came on the other day. They said they didn't like, being known as a cover band because it just wasn't worth the money versus, the time. It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you're not out performing and singing and in the studio and whatnot, what do you like to do on a day off?
I haven't actually had a day off in about 2 years between working on the farm and performing. But if I had a day off, I think I would really enjoy going tubing in the river. I used to really fancy myself as an outdoorsman. I used to really like doing things outdoors.
So lately, what kind of shows have you done? Have you done like little small clubs, or you just been sitting back and just been up on the farm?
No, every weekend we're out performing. Granted, most of the shows, especially in the wintertime, most of the shows are smaller, just club shows. Now that the summer's coming along, there are some outdoor festivals and things like that we're doing. I really prefer the summertime because the shows are a lot better and a little more exciting.
So have you? So do you have a full-fledged album, coming up? Or are you just those songs that you created? Are they a new album? That just came out, or I mean, how's that working as far as like your music right now?
We have one EP that we put out, I guess, last year that we did at EMI Nashville. And that EP has been doing good for us, and I put all of those songs out completely for free. You can get them on Reverb Nation. You can download them for free. And I've been doing that just to try to get more recognition and have people know who we are and what we're doing. We just finished another EP that All I Want's Another Beer is off of. That one will be finished at the end of June, and All I Want's Another Beer is out right now and is for free. As soon as the EP is finished, that will come off being for free, and you'll be able to buy it on Reverb Nation as well as the rest of the songs. And then we have another EP that we're going to be doing in the fall, and when that one comes out, then we're going to combine all three of the EPs, and we'll have our first album of those combined EPs. I've got a couple of other albums that I've done over the years, but as the Jeff Jopling band and the entity that we're doing now, this will be the first full album. It'll be finished at the end of fall.
Okay, and what band were you with originally, or do you not care to talk about it?
Oh, I've been with numerous bands. A band called Rhinestone Revival. A lot of them, but mostly, of course, Troy Olson that I toured with Capital EMI. But the only stuff that I've had the opportunity to do of my own Jeff Jopling music has been with the Jeff Jopling band since 2010.
And would you say that your wife or your soon-to-be wife is a major inspiration of the majority of songs, or?
She is a major inspiration of majority of the newer songs that I've written. That's for sure. And in fact, with All I Want's Another Beer, she's even a co-writer. So yeah. But moreover than an inspiration in songwriting, she helps encourage me to continue on. It's really hard to find someone that is actually encouraging of an up and coming musician.
What's funny with the All I Want's Another Beer, I wasn't thinking of it in any way y'all were thinking about it. The way I was looking at it was, a guy's like, okay, I finally get a night to myself and people are bugging the shit out of me and all I want's another beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that could be like a theme song for the guys out there.
Yeah, I hope so. There's been countless times where I've been in that exact situation, so.
Yeah, because when you get older, it's not all about, glamour and lights like it was when you were younger. It's like, okay, I'm just trying to relax. Leave me the fuck alone,
I know it really is strange how that works. In my early 20s, every time I was at a bar, it was always, chasing girls, and now in my early 30s, it's definitely morphed into, hey, I'm just here to chill out and relax.
Yeah, that's where I got that from. I'm like, wow, about time somebody, has a real song. I mean, country is, a great, genre, but a lot of it's all the same, and that's just different, and that's what I like about it.
No, I appreciate that.
So could you see yourself in, future EPs or future albums going that, different, creative flow, like not the norm, not necessarily what's in, but how you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope that's what direction all of this takes me, because I don't want to do this and be all about the money. I really do love music, and I really do want, the reason that it's an art form is as a songwriter and trying to get your emotions out there and have other people, be able to identify with that. And that's what I enjoy about it. So.
Well, I wasn't thinking it was all about the money to begin with, because when you said, well, you have this for free and that for free, I'm like, well, this guy's out there, spending all this money, him and his band, to get these EPs. It's not cheap to make a CD.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
So I give you all the credit in the world, for saying, well, hey, here's our music. We're trying to get exposure. Just have it. A lot of people would be like, no, I'm charging $3, $5, $7 for a song.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it done so many ways. And, I've seen people, like you said, it costs a, small fortune just to even record demos of your songs. So, but I've seen a lot of people go out and spend the money, and then they come back and they have, a product that really isn't that good, and they try to recoup their money by selling their CDs and stuff like that. And I guess where I've kind of hovered around is really we make our money back off of our shows. So if we can have people hear our music and they like us, and then they're going to come to our shows, and then, the venue makes money off of us, so therefore they're okay with paying us, and we're giving our music away so people aren't having to spend their money on that. It's kind of a win-win for everybody.
I wish more
Exactly.
people actually thought like that. That is the right way to think about things.
It is. And then not only that, but you make money off of when you start selling shirts and stuff too, shirts and hats and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to think about it like a business, or especially when you're the one writing the checks to all your guys. But at the same time, you don't want to be you don't want to be charging a bunch of money for music that perhaps isn't that good, and you don't want to be charging venues an arm and a leg when you're not bringing in a huge crowd that follows you everywhere. So you have to start somewhere, and that's kind of the way I decided to go about it. Is just, well, let's give the music away as much as we can, and we'll sell some merchandise, T-shirts and things like that, and and then that way we have followers, the venues will pay us, and we have tons of shows at this point. So I guess it's working out pretty well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's absolutely fantastic. The fact that he's willing to do that, because for people that don't know, I don't know about out here because I don't know what studios cost out here, but I know up north they can run damn near $80 an hour.
Oh yeah, easily. We actually got really lucky in the studios that we've recorded at. People have been willing to work with us and help us out, and get a pretty decent product for the time that we've spent doing them. So
yeah, and I think you would also agree with me that most studios, when you go in them, they expect you to be prepared. If you're not prepared, they don't care. They still want their money.
oh yeah, absolutely. Of course, that's on everybody's fault there. If you go into a studio and you're not prepared to go in, you shouldn't be there wasting the sound engineer's time necessarily either. But but there's a lot of things that don't really come together until you're finally in the studio, and it really helps to have sound engineers that are there and willing to work with you, and say, hey, you know what, while you guys are working this out, I'm going to go take a lunch break. I'll be back later on. Don't worry about it. Your time in here is free for the time being. So.
Exactly. Then you must have, really scored as far as like a studio, because a lot of them that I've known just are all about the money, and that's it. I mean, if they like somebody, they'll give them, an extra like 15 minutes or something. But yeah, like it can go outrageous. So for the fact that you're selling, basically all your songs for free, that's just an epic feat. And knowing that, you could recuperate it, back from the shows because you're going to have a following and everything. And everybody's going to be like, well, hey, I got the songs for free, and now I'm drunk and I'm going to see a show.
Exactly. Yeah, one of the things that I had this idea years ago, and I've finally been able to make this work out. I've always hated CDs because ever since the iPod came out, or now that you have your Android phone or your iPhone or whatever, the music goes from your CD straight onto your phone or your iPod or whatever, and the CD just gets thrown away. It seems like a big waste of time to me to make a CD. And so what we do is we actually sell little 2 gig flash drives, USB flash drives. And it has our music on it. It has our videos on it. It has pictures and stuff like that. And if people buy one and they end up printing off pictures and want us to sign them or anything like that, we'll do that for free, no big deal. But they can still get our music. If, for instance, if somebody bought my flash drive last year and now all of our new songs are coming out, they'll be able to get those off of Reverb Nation or wherever they go to get them. And they can put them on there for free also. They've already bought the flash drive. They don't have to pay for new music,
That's a pioneer thing. I don't see many artists doing that, but that sounds like a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. it works out. It works out really well as a way when you're going out trying to solicit shows. You're going out to venues and stuff, and they ask for a CD of your music. You say, well, here's a flash drive, and it says the Jeff Jopling Band on it. And if the fact is the venue may like classic rock instead of country. They may like something else that we're not doing, but and they may say, well, we're not going to book these guys yet. But they're not likely to throw away a perfectly good 2-gig flash drive. They may delete all of our information off of it and use it, for something else. But sitting on that venue owner's desk for a year and a half is going to be a flash drive with my name and phone number and website on it. And at some point, they may very well decide that they, oh, you know what, we should have a country night. Hey, I have an idea. Here's these guys. And then they still have that on their desk. And that's actually worked out pretty well for me so far.
That's good. That's very good, to hear.
Exactly. Also, I believe in the digital download age. That's what I call this age. Not the next generation, but the digital download age.
Yeah.
I just believe that artists nowadays, it's not about, just how good their music is. It's also about their personality. People like to relate to the personality and like to relate to the artist and the way they feel and how they, go about life. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's very true, Ray. That is very true. I would rather go to a show and sit and talk to, let's say, a country star who's more willing to sign autographs and talk to the person, the fan, and say, hey, I loved your music, and the artist sits there and goes, thank you, and has a little conversation with you. Then the artist goes, yeah, here's your CD, whatever,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
from a fan's point of view.
Yeah, definitely. And I always think about, when I've been out to see bands that I like, and how did I respond to them, or how did they respond to me rather, and I always try to treat my fans the same way I would want to be treated.
Are you a NASCAR fan?
I mean, I don't have anything against it, but no, I don't really keep up with it.
That's funny because the way you run things and the way you go about things, I just thought you've been to like NASCAR events because they do the same kind of thing for the most part, where they're all about the fans and ready to cater to them and bring just like the live, and NASCAR event's different than any other sport. I'll tell you that much. Yeah,
I've heard a lot of people say that. Like I said, I've never really been to a NASCAR event, but I've heard a lot of friends of mine like NASCAR, and I've heard that.
So do you have any road stories that would be interesting to hear?
Yeah. I was touring, I guess this was in 2009. We were up in Canada. We were touring up in Canada, and a good buddy of mine, Matt Billingsley, used to play drums for Lady Antebellum. And we happened to be in Edmonton, Alberta, and we had a gig get canceled on us. And so, a lot of people may not know that when you're touring musicians are kind of the same thing as truck drivers. You live at truck stops, you shower at truck stops, you eat at truck stops, and the bus parks at truck stops overnight. Where else do you park a 45-foot long tour bus? You park at a truck stop overnight. And so we were parked at a Flying J up in Edmonton, Alberta, and we were there. We had a series of shows booked at a casino up there, and the shows got canceled. I can't remember why, but because the shows got canceled, we were just stuck. The shows are canceled, so you don't have money to book to put the diesel in the bus to go to the next town. So you're just kind of stuck there until it's time to go to the next town. So we're just there. We decided, okay, well, we're going to go to the mall. And it was a huge mall. And we found out that Lady Antebellum was playing at this mall. And they were advertising their show that they were playing the next night in Calgary. And so I sent a text to my buddy Matt, who was playing drums for Lady Antebellum at the time. And he, found out, oh yeah, you guys are here? Well, yeah. So we met him at the little restaurant area at the mall after they finished playing. And he invited me and the drummer and the guitar player to go down to Calgary, and they were opening for Tim McGraw that night. And so he gave us tickets, and we went down there and hung out with them the next night. And after the show, we went to of course, the after party, which was at this big country music club, kind of like Cotton Eye Joe's, except a whole lot bigger. And they had this big after party for Lady Antebellum and the band from Tim McGraw's band and all that. And so after the show and after the after party, we decided to drive back, and this is probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. And we had to rent a car because, of course, the bus wasn't going to drive us that far. So we get back to the Flying J. We pull up to the truck stop and pull up to our bus. And on either side of our bus were these big gray, brand new tour buses. And we're like, man, who is that? So we woke up the next morning and found out that after the show, Tim McGraw and all of his band and their buses came up and parked at the same Flying J, and Tim McGraw and his band slept literally right next to us that night at the Flying J.
That's awesome. Did you actually get to meet like Tim McGraw and Lady Antebellum?
I didn't meet Tim McGraw, but Lady Antebellum, we got to meet all the guys in their band. And Charles is the lead guy singer for Lady Antebellum, and he wasn't there. Hillary was there, and Dave was there, and then the rest of the band was there. But Charles wasn't there at the after party. But our guitar player looked at the time a lot like Charles from Lady Antebellum, and so we're at this after party and we're all hanging out, and people are coming up to Hillary, and then they're putting their arm around our guitar player Josh. They're like, man, you guys did such a great show tonight. And, it was a huge, they played it in front of like 30,000 people that night. And people are just coming up to Josh thinking that he's Charles, and they're saying, man, you did such a great job tonight. And Hillary saw this whole thing going on, and she comes over and starts playing along and puts her arm around Josh and says, yeah, hey, how'd you like our show? And he's got pictures now all over Facebook of him and Hillary with people thinking that he's Charles.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, though? If I was in a tour bus and I was in a band and I seen a big, another band, I would have knocked on the door and been like, hey, who's here?
Hey, you want a few beers? Come on.
Yeah, well, Tim McGraw is in a different echelon than the rest of us.
I'm sure he probably would have been like, hey, yeah, come on, man,
Or he would have been like, get the fuck away from me.
That's probably more like it.
But yeah, that was a very, interesting story. And what did you end up, playing out in Canada, or you just got to spend the night and you headed out?
Yeah, actually, we lived at that Flying J for about a week. I really thought about getting a job. I mean, Canada was really rough on us, actually, because we got paid pretty well for the shows that we played, but in the music business, sometimes shows get canceled, and in that particular experience, we had about 4 days worth of shows that we were supposed to play at this casino that got canceled. And up in Canada at the time, at least, I don't know what it is now, but everything in Canada was so expensive, and we're staying at a Flying J, having to shower. Each shower was like $10 to shower. We're trying to eat as little as possible, to not spend all of our money on food. And so we're buying like Chef Boyardee and stuff like that for, just a little can of noodles was like $6. It was ridiculous. But what was really bad about it was the fact that we were in Canada, and, we were all from Nashville. We were all living in Nashville at the time. And we all had bank accounts with Bank of America. Well, of course, there's no Bank of America in Canada, and so we were sitting with, $1,000 cash in our pockets, but no way to get it to our bank accounts to pay credit card bills or to do anything with it. And it was a really hard time for us.
I guess so.
Yeah, I know that feeling, man. I definitely know that feeling. When we came out this way, we had I forgot what bank it was, but we had one bank, and there's not a bank in the area, and my check kept on getting drawn out to that. But I lost my ATM, so I couldn't get an ATM card as I had checks. I mean, it was just a mess. So I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, well, what was really, really frustrating about that was we got back from that tour, and I think it was probably about 3 months later that Bank of America finally presented their app for Android phones where you could just take the picture with your phone and deposit a check. And it was just like, oh, boy, I really could have used that 3 months ago.
I know. Where were you 3 months ago, you stupid app?
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
Well, next time you go on tour, I would definitely stock your tour bus up, and I'd make sure your tour bus had a stove and a shower and everything else, so you guys could shower right in there,
Oh yeah.
and stock it up with food so you can just cook right in your tour bus and feed everybody.
Normally when you're touring like that, though, you still have, you might sleep in the bus 1 or 2 nights a week, as the bus is traveling, but most of the time you end up having hotel rooms and stuff like that, so it's really not a big deal. But in that particular case, because the shows got canceled, there were no hotel rooms, there was nothing.
Yeah, I would have been like, get me away from this fucking bus.
Oh man, I tell you what. And what's really bad about a tour bus is that you're in there with 6 to 8 other people usually, and if let's say hypothetically maybe you go out drinking one night, and let's say hypothetically you drank too much, and then you decide that, man, I need to throw up, and you're in your bunk. It's really hard to, and let's say hypothetically that somebody's in the bathroom so you can't get in there. It's really hard to get off of the bus in time before you throw up.
Oh God, yeah, that must have been messy.
Yeah, I won't say that I know about that from personal experience, but I know about that from personal experience.
So, you did say you did do some shows out, in another country, in Canada, correct?
Yeah.
Was there a difference between the Canadian crowd and the American crowd? Like, were they more in tune? Like, I know in England for certain events they're more into something.
Canadians in general were a lot more laid back. The shows themselves weren't really a whole lot different. It was all the after party stuff that was a lot different. In Canada, it's just kind of like anything goes. They're a lot less conservative, even than liberal Americans.
So somebody could be fucking in a parking lot and it wouldn't matter to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I know you're like, you say it in all these weird ways, but I just like to, not sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
But would you say, you said that they're more laid back. So basically, in terms that I can understand, they were paying the food prices of Connecticut and dealing with the people of like Jacksonville.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, they were all very sweet. Like, I don't think any Canadians ever met a stranger. Even in the bigger cities that we were in, people don't really lock their doors. They don't have crime like we have here. I mean, it's just not. People seem a lot happier, but they don't really care about issues. But maybe it's just because they don't have issues there. I don't know. But people are just really laid back. I don't know. It was a very strange experience. But they were all very, very sweet people.
So it had to feel like you were in a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, and most of them, there's not really that much of a language difference. Every now and then you have, some folks will have an accent, but really it's not that much different. You would forget that you're in Canada, except the fact that you're in Canada.
Well, in the wintertime you were in
You can
Canada.
even use your American dollars in Canada. They take our money.
Oh, that's good.
Well, if you did a tour in the wintertime, you'd know you were in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. Although I will say we had a couple of guys in the band that had DUIs, previous DUIs, and I will say that I didn't know this until we got right there to go through customs. But if you've had a DUI, you cannot go to Canada.
Yeah, what happened then? Were they able to not go, or what happened?
No, they were the record label guys were able to pay off the customs agents, and we got through. But it was a very strange experience.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
So have you had to play up north?
In the northern U.S., yeah.
Would you say it's different than down south?
Up north, they have a lot more outdoor festivals, and their outdoor festivals are a lot bigger, and people get way more into it than they do in the south. The south is sort of known for having the musicians, but up north, they seem to appreciate it a lot more.
But do you find the people in the north as friendly as the people in the south?
Yes and no. The people up north, in my experience, and this is just simply from traveling a lot, the people up north are a lot funnier. They have a very dry sense of humor, which I always just find really funny and charming. And it's a lot easier on the surface to talk to those people, and they seem like perhaps they're a lot nicer. The South is sort of known for Southern hospitality, but up north they seem to be a lot easier to get along with at first. In the South, people kind of have to warm up to you a little bit before they'll be friendly.
Okay. I'm hearing Coach speak because I know up in New York they ain't friendly, but
Yeah. Well, New York is sort of its own entity. I'm talking about the North in general.
Oh, okay.
He's talking more towards like
New York doesn't like anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't.
They don't even like the road the minute you mess up.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Well, certain parts of Connecticut you go through will be friendly, and then there's some that just you look at them the wrong way and they want to snap your neck. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, but I mean that's just in general. I mean,
Yeah.
like the South is, some places you get the hospitality, and then other places you get hostility.
Until they get to know you. And
But it's been a pleasure, talking with you, Jeff. And do you have anything lined up that you'd like to tell people about? And where can they grab your music?
You can get our music at reverbnation.com/Jeff Jopling. Also, you can get our music from jeffjoplingband.com. Both of those places you can find our calendar, our show calendar, and see where we're going to be at. Also, every Sunday I host, now it's not the Jeff Jopling Band, it's just me. I host the open jam night at Two Doors Down in Maryville every Sunday from 6 o'clock until 10. And that's a time for singers or musicians. We have guitars, guitar amps, basses, drums, keyboard, anything that you play or want to play. Feel free to get up on stage with us and jam. And it's kind of like an open mic night, except we also encourage musicians to get up and play, even if you don't sing.
Well,
So,
if you ever find anyone that's really talented, definitely send them our way. The first number that you called.
absolutely, I sure will.
And we're actually going to come down, not this week, but probably in the upcoming weeks. We'll come down and we'll meet you and everything as well. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, please do. We're there every Sunday.
All right. So, do you have any last words to tell the listening audience before you get out of here?
Just hope you enjoy our music. Like us on Facebook, and come out and see us. Say hi if you're at one of our shows.
All right. And one last question, because I asked everybody this: what would you tell anyone that was inspiring to be a musician if they asked you, how is it?
Oh man, make sure that you have a day job that pays well.
Short but sweet. We love it. Well, thank you for coming out and spending time with us and telling your story, Jeff Jopling. You have yourself a wonderful evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I sure appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
All right. You take care.
All right, you too.
Warning.
Up ahead I see the lightning flash as a raindrop hits my hood. Knowing full well I don't wanna go on, but in my heart I know I should. And all I can see behind me are sunny skies for miles and miles. And I fear when I get where I'm going, I'm gonna miss your smile. 'Cause behind me are all the dreams I had with you, and soon all I will see is as far as the end of my hood. I know the rain's gonna come on down, and I can't be sure if it can wash away my memories of you. I'd settle for waiting on the storm to come to me. Instead I'm pushing on, I'm running away from a future that cannot be. Because I know that where I've been is not where I want to be. And the storm will at least wash away my tracks, if not your memories. 'Cause behind me are all the dreams I had with you, and soon all I will see is as far as the end of my hood. I know the rain's gonna come on down, and I can't be sure if it can wash away my memories of you. Let the rain come down and wash away my memories. Let the storm roll in. Right now it's just a gentle breeze, but with a lightning flash and a thunderclap, the heavens open up in a snap. And then I pray when the storm is over and I see sunny skies again, that the face I see looking back at me is the face of a happier man. the rain's gonna come on down, and I can't be sure if it can wash away. Lord, I pray that